Welcome and welcome back to Really Legal. I'm attorney Ethan Bearman. Yesterday, the Arizona Attorney General appears to have put the nail in the coffin for the fake elector scheme that infected our 2020 election so horrifically. I'll give you the good, the bad, and what's next. So look, yesterday, Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays, who was elected in 2022 on the promise to actually investigate this fake elector scheme that Republicans ginned up during the 2020, after the 2020 election. And she has brought this to the fore, brought it to a grand jury. The grand jury voted. And by the way, this grand jury was a mix of Democrats, conservatives, and others, according to an off-the-record or background grand juror to Politico. So this wasn't just a group of Democrats on the grand jury, but they voted to bring the indictment forward, and it is a doozy. This is serious business. 9 counts, including conspiracy, a Class 2 felony. One type of fraud related to artifices, is a Class 2 felony. Another one regarding to fraud of the procedure, that's a Class 3 felony. And forgery is Class 4 felony in Arizona. That's counts 4 through 9. There are 11 Arizona Republicans whose names we can see. And then there are 7 more defendants for a total of 18 whose names were redacted because they hadn't been served yet, but Washington Post and others have identified them to include Rudy, Four Seasons Total Landscaping Oil on the forehead, former mayor of New York Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Boris Epstein, John Eastman, Christina Bobb, Mike Roman, another Trump operative. These people are in very serious trouble. And I'm going to get to the little part of this that I don't think enough people are talking about in just another minute. But these charges are very, very serious. Take a look at this. They schemed to prevent the lawful transfer of the presidency to keep unindicted conspirator 1, that's former President Donald Trump, in office against the will of the Arizona voters. After the general election on November 3rd, 2020, defendants raised false claims of widespread election fraud in Arizona to pressure election officials to change the outcome of a Democratic election. Republican presidential elector defendants then voted for President Donald Trump and Vice President Michael Pence on December 14th, 2020, falsely claiming to be the duly elected and qualified electors for President and Vice President of the United States from the state of Arizona. Now take a listen to Attorney General Chris Mays, what she had to say yesterday when this was announced.
In reality, the defendants intended that the false votes for Trump and Pence would encourage Vice President Pence to reject the certified Biden-Harris electors' votes, regardless of the result of any legal challenge. When combined with the 6 other states where Republican electors sent in uncertified votes for Trump-Pence, the defendants wanted Pence to declare Mr. Trump the outright winner of the election, or to send the vote back to friendly legislatures that would have certified Trump-Pence as the winner of the election. That scheme failed when Vice President Pence upheld the rule of law and accepted all certified Biden-Harris votes on January 6, 2021.
When in your lifetime did you think that Mike Pence would really be the hero? We've heard this a couple of times now over the years. And hero in this very, very limited fashion, of course, but he was the firewall. He was the firewall between the downfall of our democracy, the takeover of fascism and potential autocracy, as was being argued at the United States Supreme Court today regarding immunity. But Mike Pence is the one who stopped this from happening. My word. I guess that explains why he refuses to support Donald Trump in the 2024 election. Mike Pence? All right, well, good for him. We appreciate it. But this just gets worse and worse, because the one thing that I don't see very many people talking about is the fact that the 1887 Electoral Act that put it in the rules relating to how we run the Electoral College here in the United States, got such a workout in the 2020 election, and why I think this is a nail in the coffin. This indictment specifically brings forth an argument that was made by unindicted co-conspirator number 4, who appears to be Kenneth Chesebro or Cheesebro. Cheesebro. I mean, I love cheese. I don't necessarily love Cheesebro. So give me some of that sharp cheddar right now. Anyhow, but he put forth this unbelievable argument. It's really not moored in reality, claiming that in 1960 in Hawaii, there was a super contentious, very, very close presidential vote. Remember, that was the year that John F. Kennedy was running against Richard Milhouse Nixon. And in Hawaii, the vote was very, very close. It was hotly contested. It was being litigated. So because it was being litigated and we didn't know what that outcome was going to be, each party got their slate of electors in place and ready to go, whether it was for John F. Kennedy, whether it was for Richard Milhouse Nixon. It worked its way up to the Hawaii Supreme Court, who ultimately ruled that John F. Kennedy, the Democrat, won. So when it came before the United States Senate for the certification, like January 6, 2021, in this case 1961, it was Richard Milhouse Nixon, because he was the sitting vice president, who brought this forward and said, no, it was the Democratic slate of electors who was going to be put into the record. Now remember, John F. Kennedy, even if he had lost, the state of Hawaii still won. So Nixon could have set precedent. He specifically said this was not precedent at the time, which is all the more reason why Cheesebro should have never made the argument as a lawyer, because Nixon specifically said this is not precedent. But also Nixon, if he wanted to be a Trumpian jerk, he could have said, too bad, I'm deciding to go this way. He didn't. He actually did the right. Nixon did the right thing. Trump and all of these people, allegedly, can't do the right thing, although some of them already made plea agreements in Georgia. And part of the reason I say that this is the nail in the coffin on this is these are very serious charges. If you're convicted now in multiple states of similar schemes, it's unquestionable what happened. And of course, we all know that the deniers of reality will continue to post silly comments. By the way, I want to hear your comments down below. But we're going to hear their silly comments forever. But in terms of fact and reality, which seems to be so problematic for certain people right now, and for the last 8 years, good Lord, we're going to have so many more court decisions that prove it and hold it to be true. Now, of course, they're innocent until proven guilty. So what's the good? Very serious charges against some people who really attempted to undermine our entire democracy. By the way, you're going to possibly hear commentators say, oh, they could get 35 years in prison. No, I'm going to put it on your screen right now. Take a look. Class 2 felony. If it was mitigated, 3 years, maximum 10 years for a first-time offender. I just don't see anybody getting more than 10 years. I just don't see that possibly happening if they're found guilty. What's the bad here? It's going to take time to work its way through the courts again. The Attorney General yesterday even acknowledged that. I know some of you are frustrated, she said. I get that. So that's the bad. This is going to take time to work its way through the courts before we find out exactly what's going to happen. So what's next? Well, like we've seen in so many other cases in states, this is going to get started now. People are going to start filing motions to dismiss. They're going to try and deny, but it's going to move forward. Hearings are going to start happening. We're going to find out if anybody strikes a plea deal to cooperate, and we'll see what happens. Give me your comments down below. What do you think? Is this the nail in the coffin for these election deniers, these conspirators, these liars, allegedly? What do you think about it? Give me your comments down below. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, share this, please, with your friends, family, and frenemies. I'm attorney Ethan Bearman. This is Really Legal on the Really American Network.